Let's go.
Not too hard, girl. Not too hard. Come on, that's like 2.5 feet right there.
All right. Hi, Riley. Welcome to the Trails Collective news show or interview show that we're doing. Where are you coming to us from?
I'm in New Hope, Pennsylvania right now.
Okay. Is that where you live all the time, or is that just where you're spending the quarantine?
Well, right now it's where I live all the time. I'm with my parents. I took this past summer off of work because I could, and went out to Colorado and was bopping around a little bit out there, which was really fun. And then came back to my parents to try and get my life in order, and things have just sort of snowballed. Now I have a job, so I'm figuring stuff out.
So what is your job?
I just got hired at Trek as a bike mechanic, so I'm in training. I'm still learning, but I think I'm probably the only person who just got hired in the middle of all of this insanity.
That's pretty cool. Amelia just convinced me to buy a bike, so I have a bike now. It is on my trainer right now because I'm not riding. It just snowed like a bunch. So
Wait,
I'm going outside. But yeah, after she, so our mutual friend Amelia, another really good ultra runner, she sort of has introduced us. And then I remember you and her and your friend, another friend of yours, went on this like epic bike trip. And ever since then, she's been on me to get a bike because like we need to do this biking. And I'm like, okay. So it's taken her about a year to convince me, but I finally got the bike, in this time period, because why not? So now I guess I know when something breaks, I can just be like, hey, Riley, how do I fix this bike?
Yep.
That's cool. How many hours a week do you put in there?
It's full time, so I'm scheduled for like 32, I think, but I often end up staying late or going in a little early. So it's between that and 40 hours a week.
Has it picked up with everything going on? I think that like I feel like a lot of people are getting outside a lot more.
Oh my God, it's insane. Yeah, the phone rings off the hook. People, like tons of people who haven't ridden in a really long time, are pulling their old bikes out of the garage, out of the basement. So bringing those in for service. And then a lot of people are just calling to buy new bikes because I guess they have nothing else to do. And they're like, now's as good a time as ever.
I mean, that's kind of what I did, but mine isn't a new bike. Mine is, I think it was $250. It's got like old school gear shifting. It's bright yellow. But I was like, for what I'm going to be doing, that's probably fine. And it works really well. And so, it'll get me, when my job reopens, it'll get me to my job. And whatever Amelia thinks is bike riding that we're going to do, I don't really know. But I just like, hey, why not have it here in my tiny apartment? Just put a bike in there. So, all right. So let's start with a little bit more about you then. So, grew up in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
And how did you start running?
What's that?
How'd you start running?
When I was in high school, I joined the cross country team my junior year. I actually transferred schools after freshman year and wanted to start running cross country then. Because I played other sports and started to realize that the only part of those sports that I was good at was the running part. But somebody I knew at the school talked me into joining the soccer team. So I was like, all right, whatever, I'll play soccer sophomore year. And after that, I was like, yeah, I'm not coordinated enough for these ball games. Yeah, so then I started running cross country junior year and loved it. I had an awesome coach. He really emphasized having fun when you're running. Like before that, I thought it was always about punishment. Like, you guys didn't do this drill right, so go run a lap.
Mm-hmm.
And so Peter was great about like making it fun, and it just kind of took off from there. Like I didn't stop when I got to college.
Did you run for the college team? Because that's how you met Amelia, was Vermont, right?
Yeah. So no, I didn't run for UVM. That's where we went to school. I kind of wish, looking back, that I had tried to do that. But at the same time, like I think that's how I found ultra running. When I got to college, I just started running a lot on my own. There were some woods in the back of campus. It was like my escape, get out of the dorms. It's like, you know, you don't have any privacy in college. So getting outside and having that like 3/4 of a mile loop in the back of the woods that I would just run on repeat. That's when I really started getting into the like longer distance stuff.
So did you do a marathon first, or did you just jump right into the 50K and beyond?
Yeah, I just jumped right into the 50K and beyond. Actually, Amelia talked me into doing that. So she was the one who, when I met her, she kind of told me about ultras, and I was like, whoa, people do that?
Yeah.
And she was eyeing Cayuga Trails 50, this 50 miler in Ithaca that she was wanting to do that summer. And she already had a qualifier, I think, or she had at least run a marathon before, but I hadn't. Like, the most I'd run in a race was a half marathon. So I was like, well, I want to do this 50 miler. I need to find a way to qualify. So I went on the internet and I was like looking around for spring races that I would be able to get to. Like, I didn't have a car. And there was this race down in New Jersey, the New Jersey Ultra Fest. And they have this weekend where they put on a marathon, a 50K, 50 miler, 100K, 100 miler, like a bunch of distances, because it was just a 10-mile loop course. So they would just like, you know, change it around a little bit for each distance. So I was like, this is perfect. Logistically, we could take the train down to this place in New Jersey. My parents can pick us up and like take us to the race and spectate. So I was going to sign up for the marathon, and Amelia was like, no, you should sign up for the 50K. It's only a few miles longer, and then you get bragging rights for the rest of your life. So she kind of talked me into it, and I'm glad I did. Like, we had a great time, even though it was like super flat course, like kind of out and back on a old rail trail. But I got my qualifier, and then I was able to run Cayuga Trails in the summer. So.
And how did that go?
I don't even remember how long it took me. Like, it was probably over 10 hours. And I remember feeling like death at the end of that race.
That's still the longest I've ever run is Cayuga Trails, like ever in my life.
Yeah. I mean, I love that race. And I think partly because it was like my first real ultra. But it's a beautiful course. And I don't think any of the subsequent times I've run it, I felt as bad as I did the first time. Like,
oh, good. So the next time will be better for me.
Yeah.
Which will be in 2021, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. So, so what year was this? How old are you right now?
I'm 24.
Okay.
About to turn 25 though. What year?
Well, how old were you?
I want to say I was 19.
Okay, so you've been running ultras for about 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what's your favorite distance?
I like the 100-mile distance a lot.
How many of those have you done?
Only a handful. I've done Vermont 100 a couple times, and I've done Rocky Raccoon. I think those are my only ones that I've finished. I was supposed to do Run Rabbit Run this past fall, but I got hurt going into it, and I was like, do I start? I don't know. I was already out in Colorado. My parents were coming, so I was like, I'm going to start. But
I think I remember this because I remember like texting Amelia because she was like, she had told me that you had gotten some injuries in Colorado, and then she said you were doing Rocky Raccoon, and I was like, oh, so is she okay? And Amelia's like, I don't know, I think she's down there, so she's gonna start. So like the whole day I was like, she's still going, like, and then she told me like you made it to 50 miles like injured, which is insane. And so yeah, all right, are we back?
I hope so.
Okay. Anyway, so what I was saying is when you were down there, I remember Amelia telling me that in Colorado you got a little bit of an injury going, and then you were back, and then you still ended up going down to Run Rabbit Run or Rocky Raccoon.
It was Run Rabbit Run in
Run Rabbit Run.
Colorado.
And
Yeah.
she wasn't sure if you were, she said she thought you would start because like that's what you do. But you weren't sure you were just gonna see like how far you could get. And so I think she said, you ended up going for like 50 miles still, right? That's pretty impressive. What was your injury back then and how did you get it?
Yeah, I think so it was a femoral stress reaction. And I got it the same way everybody gets stuff like that, was doing too much too quickly. Because I in Colorado to train running a lot, and I didn't realize, like I just thought that it was like a muscle knot, so I kept rolling it, but it wasn't getting better, and finally it got to the point where I was like, this is not right. So finally stopped running like a couple weeks before the race, and did some like pool jogging. But I think I was ready to start running again by the time the race came around. I just wasn't ready to go from not running at all to doing 100 miles.
Yeah, not many people can do that, but the only people you read about are like the Mike Wardians and the people that are like, yeah, I just decided, medal training. It's like that happens for like one person. Like me, I have to train for like ever. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, of course, every time you build up, it's like less time to build up, but you still got to build up. I don't know. I mean, I'm not like a couch to 100-mile person.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So, also more success that you've had. You won UROC. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
That was this past spring. Yeah. Okay. So last year.
So like did that sort of like encourage you to, I mean, I know that's a pretty prestigious race. So did that sort of encourage you to do like, you have this time, go to Colorado and see like if you can like, do the ultra running thing, which we still don't really know what that is?
Yeah, I mean, sort of, because I won money at UROC, so that like financed my summer of living out in Colorado. So that was, but yeah, it was more that than anything. It just like made it financially possible to do that.
That's pretty cool. When you were out there, were you staying with other ultra runners, or like how did you living the van life?
No, I was actually staying with some really nice old people. I have like a former coworker, sort of friend. She's older than me. Her parents live out in Golden, Colorado, and they were going away for a little bit. And so she was like, I'll hook you up with my parents. You can house sit for them. You can stay with them. They love taking in young people. So I did that for a little bit, which was really great. I like them a lot. Like Mike and I would do crossword puzzles together, and Donna would take me to the grocery store with her. They were just so sweet, and really good to me. And then I headed to Boulder to stay with one of my mom's childhood friends' siblings. Okay. So she lives up like in the hills of Boulder, so it's kind of out of town. But she was like, yeah, I got space in the house. And so I stayed with her for a little bit too, which was fun. It was really nice having like, I don't know, getting to know these people who are not runners and living normal lives out.
While you were there?
What's that?
Did you do any races while you were there?
No, because it was just going to be Run Rabbit Run.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I know, let's talk about the prize money thing for a little while. So I know that I've won prize money before too. And I know that like I have to, like right after you win prize money, at least for me, I have to like consciously like think and like even write it down sometimes, like, this does not mean anything. Like, I am not, like, do not, like, dream of this life, like this idyllic life where all you have to do is run. Like, I have to write it down because I know this, but like, you know what I mean? So having, like, you won a lot of money, and I mean, you are an elite ultra runner, but like, elite ultra running doesn't pay the bills still. So like, what have you learned from just, you won money, you took the summer off, you trained a bunch, and then like, Run Rabbit Run didn't work out. So like, what have you learned from that experience?
I guess a couple things like, oh, sorry.
Okay.
um, I guess one that I kind of like having like at least some other thing to fill my time. Like I'm really enjoying my job at Trek right now. I love bikes. I like working on them. Um so like having that other distraction definitely makes it so like I just don't have as much time to go too hard
Yeah.
basically. Um so that helps. And then also, I guess just that I'm really bad at the marketing side of things. I feel like if you want to make a go of it as a professional ultra runner, um, like you have to not only be a good runner, but I mean, unless you're Courtney or Jim, like you have to also be good at promoting yourself and marketing yourself and like do the social media thing. And I don't like doing that. It's really hard for me. And yeah, I think it's kind of like you have to figure that out if you want to make a go of it. So
Yeah, agreed. So I feel like it's sometimes it can be really great to because I've met a lot of people through social media that like I wouldn't know. Then other times it's like how much is this like self like you have to self brag a little and that feels
yeah,
weird. But and then also like you need to just like you have to respond to comments, like responding to messages. Sometimes it's just like really overwhelming. And like I've started to sort of like take weekends off Instagram. Just like I just won't go on it. Like just because like I just need you don't realize you need a break until you need a break. And I think Amelia is really similar to you. Like she uh just doesn't it's not something that she wants to spend time on and I respect that. Like I don't think that if it doesn't if it's not making you money and like bringing you it just brings stress, I think it's silly. So no, I respect you for that. Yeah, it's not we're not all Courtney and Jim. So,
yeah, yep.
so what were your plans for 2020? I'm assuming that they are now either switched to FKTs or you're just not racing at all, like me. So, what are your plans for 2020? How are you healed from your injury? I guess.
Yeah. But I should say so. After I got back to the East Coast after Run Rabbit Run, um, I was running okay for a little bit, and then I got pretty sick this past like winter-ish.
Were you
Um,
patient zero for Corona?
no,
That was you,
no,
wasn't
nothing
it?
coronavirus
We
related.
found
Nothing
her.
contagious. I was like extremely fatigued. Yeah, there was a bunch of stuff going on, but anyway, I wasn't really running very much, or if I was, it was kind of inconsistent, and it definitely wasn't like hard training. So and last year I worked at a daycare, so I felt like I was sick all the time. So I was like, I'm done with being sick all the time.
These are gross.
So I actually originally hadn't signed up for that many races this summer because I wanted to get like a good chunk of healthy running under my belt before I go and do a big event. I was signed up for Vermont 100 because I had early registration to it, and I was like, why not just throw my hat in the ring? I love that race. But that's canceled now. So I've been thinking about trying to do my own 24-hour event on a track.
When?
I don't know. Definitely in the summer. um, I I want it to be warm. I'm ready
Yes.
for heat. So yeah, that's something I'm considering. And since it's self-organized, it can kind of be like, oh, weather's
Whatever.
looking good this weekend.
Keep
Let's
me in
do
the
it.
know. That sounds awesome. Amelia and I have talked about this before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
maybe if the restrictions are lifted a little bit, it could be like a small race.
yeah. Yeah. We just have to find a good loop.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so either that or like plotting out 100-mile course to do by myself.
You haven't gotten
But
bitten by the
no,
FKT bug?
yeah, well, I just don't know like what trails are going to be open or like what it's like even that feels so up in the air right now, you know? So
Mhm. I haven't gotten bitten by it, and I'm not that bad. I don't have any FOMO. I'm like, I think it's awesome, but I just don't
Yeah.
have any FOMO right now. Because like the
Yeah.
first week of like, so I agree with you like having tons of extra time, like because I was unemployed for 2 weeks, and so I had tons of time and I ran a lot, but I was also bored, and so that's why I was running, and also like I was using it to cope and stuff, and like I got tired, like I got tuckered out, and I was like, I don't know how people balance this, but it's not my life. I like working. It just gives you something else to focus on too. Like, or if you have like a crappy run, oh, it doesn't matter. I got to go to work. So
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
don't dwell on
Well,
it as much. That's like another thing I think professional runners just don't dwell on bad runs, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. So basically your life has gotten better since the pandemic. You got a job at a bike store. I mean,
Yes.
planning your own
Yeah.
race. You got someone to come to your race. Like, hey, I mean, not bad. So I guess the last question to close us out is, so what is bringing you joy in running right
I mean, I love it. It feels so good. I like being outside. I like that the days are longer and a little bit sunnier right now.
now? Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess the past couple of weekends, I've planned out some long-ish routes. Like I did about a 50K, not last weekend, but the weekend before. And like that long stuff is just my favorite. It's really fun. So yeah, I've been really enjoying that.
Well, that's really cool, and I look forward to seeing what happens next. And yeah, keep me in the loop for that self-supported 100 or 24-hour. That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it should be.
All right, well, thanks, Riley, and thank you for giving me a half an hour of your time. It was great, and I'll let you know when the video goes out.
Okay. Thanks, Ellie.
Yeah.